So President Trump ordering the Bureau of Prisons, DOJ, and Homeland Security to reopen Alcatraz to house, quote, America's most ruthless and violent offenders. The last time Alcatraz housed prisoners was 1963. Here's the president explaining his decision.
These radicalized judges, they want to have trials for every single, think of it, every single person that's in our country illegally, that came in illegally. That would mean millions of trials. I mean, it's a sad symbol, but it's a symbol of law and order.
Okay, so the Alcatraz, the last time it was opened in 1963. They got about 300, 400 people. Greg Jarrett joins us now to discuss this. Greg, you've been to Alcatraz. How close is it to reopening? Do they still have the keys?
Yeah, they got the keys. You don't really need keys anymore, though. You know, it's a provocative idea, Brian, which may be why Trump is proposing it. So the sound you hear are all the liberal heads exploding at the same time. You know, progressives frown on prisons. They tend to favor nanny daycare for hardened criminals. And Alcatraz, pretty forbidding, frigid place, housed Al Capone, Machine Gun Kelly, Mickey Cohen. It is, however, federal property, so this can be done, but it'd have to be rebuilt almost entirely. It's so outdated and crumbling. And here's the important part. It has landmark status, so there would be an avalanche of lawsuits that would probably tie it up for years. You know, don't forget, this is California. They care more about protecting the tiny smelt than building water systems to save lives and livelihoods, as we saw in the L.A. fires.
Right. A lot of people run for office on the pro-smelt agenda. But by the way, they say Alcatraz, despite the movie, was actually one of the better prisons in terms of conditions. But we'll see what happens there. All right, I want to bring you to something else that really has that's capturing the headlines almost every day. These district judges going out of their way to do whatever they can to stop President Trump and his border agenda. He's getting frustrated. Listen.
A big emergency right now is that we have thousands of people that we want to take out, and we have some judges that want everybody to go to
Some
court.
of them you appointed, sir, including three on the Supreme Court.
They change. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how that happens, but they do change.
Don't you need to uphold the Constitution of the United States as president?
I don't know. I have to respond by saying again, I have brilliant lawyers that work for me, and they are going to obviously follow what the Supreme Court said.
Of course, I don't know brings us all these headlines. Trump says, I don't know, when asked about due process and upholding Constitution. Listen to the interview. What he's trying to say is expedited removal. When you come in here illegally, and there's 25 million here illegally, 8 to 10 who came during Joe Biden, you just to put the gavel down 8 million times will take forever. So there's expedited removal with smart lawyers like you.
Right.
Talk to him about. That was his point.
Yeah, deportations are not a criminal process under the meaning of the Bill of Rights and the Fifth Amendment guarantees of due process. That's the point that I think Trump's lawyers had made to him. Removal is based on people who are here illegally, not because they're charged or convicted of crimes. And the U.S. Supreme Court recently ruled, Brian, that they are entitled to notice and a right to challenge removal, but that is typically done on an expedited basis before an immigration judge who is not part of the judicial branch. They're employees of the Department of Justice, so that's not the same as the standard due process that people are entitled to in regular courts of law when charged with crimes. That's the point the president was trying to make. So the term due process here really gets conflated and confused. It's not the same thing.
Exactly. And if you have to get everyone a lawyer and they're going to go through their process, it would be impossible to do. That was his point. And she knew it. Everybody knew it. The New York Times knows it, but that's their headline. Greg Jarrett, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Have a great week.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.